We're back now with some breaking economy news. We've got new numbers out this morning. They show prices are rising higher than was expected. Consumer prices rose 0.5% in January on a month-over-month basis, but a 3% year-over-year. This comes after Fed Chair Jerome Powell called the economy strong overall during remarks before Congress yesterday. He emphasized the Federal Reserve is not in a rush to lower interest rates more. Breaking it all down for us, we've got our economic dream team, NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Cheung, Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver. Good morning to both of you. Brian, I'm going to start with you over at the big board to give us some of these numbers. Tell us what they tell us about how inflation is continuing to evolve.
Yeah, and again, inflation measures how much prices increased over the course of a year, and on a yearly basis between January of this year and January of last year, prices rose by 3%, according to the government. That was above what economists had expected. They were expecting something closer to 2.8%. So that's certainly not good news, especially when you consider we're going in the wrong direction. We want this number, inflation, to go down, and instead it went up by 0.1%. Over the yearly chart of these yearly rates, you have seen this steady rise from actually about the mid 2% to now, as I just mentioned, the 3% mark, which we just hit in January. Again, that is an improvement from what we saw in the beginning of 2024. But again, what economists say is healthy is something a little bit closer to 2%. So a lot of progress to be made on that front. When we break up the categories, these are now monthly changes. How much did prices change between December and January? Food prices, to no surprise, up 0.4%. Energy costs, we did see gasoline prices marginally go higher as well. Those prices up 1.1% on a monthly basis. But shelter, this is the biggest cost for most Americans, just putting a roof over your head. We saw an acceleration in the monthly rate of price increases, 0.3% between November and December, now up 0.4%. That's one that's a little bit concerning, and that we'll have to watch in the months to come, Savannah.
Caleb, what does this tell you about the state of the economy?
Yeah, things are hot. Prices are hot. Don't forget, in January, there's a lot of price resetting. This is when a lot of retailers do what they call their factor adjustments, right? When they raise prices on everything. They've seen your Netflix subscription rise, but you also see product prices rise. It's the year-over-year increase. There's some of that, but also these food prices. When you think about eggs, that's a big component of what we shop for. That's a big part of this. And the shelter that Brian just mentioned, that's 30% of CPI. And we know that's becoming a real burden for homeowners and people that are trying to buy a home or just pay the rent. So that's a very interesting thing to watch. That just keeps getting stronger. When you strip out food and energy prices, which is the core CPI, that's at 3.3%. So this is a lot hotter than expected. And the Fed, as we know, had been lowering interest rates, raising interest rates to try to bring inflation down. There's now this battle of what are they going to do next when they meet.
Brian, some of these numbers that you mentioned are concerning. They're, of course, just like the essentials, food, shelter. What else are you seeing trends in those categories? Yeah, well, we were just rolling the video of eggs. That's the one that most people are thinking of. Let's take a look at egg prices based off of how the government measured it. Again, what we're looking at here on the left side are the January 2024 numbers. People are saying, oh, my gosh, I wish I could get eggs for $2.50. The average price now, $4.95. Just on an anecdotal basis, I saw eggs for over $10 here in New York City just this weekend. Milk prices, $4.03. So that's basically going sideways from a year ago. That's certainly good news. Gasoline prices, $3.21, about the same as this time a year ago. So again, prices across the board about the same, with the exception of a number of items that we do notice the price tags for, noticeably eggs, which are actually almost double now as of compared to a year ago. So these are the prices that Americans care about. Although I want to point out, on a adjusted basis when it comes to wages, which we got from the employment report last week, at least wages are outpacing the rate of overall inflation. Average wage gains around 4% on a yearly basis, and this report shows that prices are going up by 3%. But again, 4 larger than 3 on an average basis at least. That's good news. We also talked earlier this morning about coffee going up. That just really sucks, doesn't it? All right, Caleb, let's talk about what we heard yesterday, because anything that we can kind of glean from comments that Fed Chair Jerome Powell makes is helpful to understand what may happen when it comes to any type of interest rates cuts, though we're not really expecting that. But he was testifying yesterday in front of the Senate Banking Committee. What stood out to you?
Well, he says he's in no hurry to lower interest rates, and this report is only going to cement that. The economy's strong. He keeps saying that, but prices are higher than the Fed wants. The Fed wants inflation somewhere in the 2 to 2.5% range. We have not been able to get down there and stay down there. But the economy is still relatively strong when you look at the labor market. Brian mentioned the wage gains. That's a big component of what the Fed watches right now. But the Fed is going to hold pat at least as long as it can, even though President Trump has said as recently as last night and this morning, he wants interest rates to be lowered to account for the tariffs he's imposing on all these goods we bring into the United States.
All right, Caleb Silver, Brian Cheung, thank you both for helping us on this breaking news.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.